You are listening to Elements and Boss Idols, the Cablebox podcast. The Cablebox podcast.
I usually just get really upset whenever I listen to the news. I can't really follow politics in the news. It really just pisses me off.
It's
no matter what. That's why I just make music, man. I just make music and just fucking live under my rock.
well, like not to like get so deep into it, but I started thinking about it. Over the past like 2 or 3 weeks, they've been talking about like how our intelligence agencies are indicting people from Russia because they have proof and evidence and all this stuff, and they've presented it to Trump and saying all these things, and he didn't, whatever. But a part of me, I'm not like trying to justify it, but what if like there's a conspiracy that America is like literally trying to fuck him over? Like, what if there is a force that is using all the resources they have to like frame Donald Trump?
And he's not the ultimate power.
Yeah,
He's just the scapegoat.
Yeah.
He's the face and the scapegoat of everything that we do wrong.
And that's
is
been
blamed
a
on him.
theory for so long, and I think over the past few elections we've recognized that it's true. The president is just a scapegoat, the face, the one that's going to call the shots, but a lot of other things are going on behind the scenes.
Of course, it's everything's on purpose, and you can't say that other countries don't influence other countries' elections, because they always do. They influence each other's legislation just through, threatening trading, embargoes on trades. That's going to fuck with your economy. There's so many other things you can do to kind of wage a war, more of like an economic war against countries that will definitely sway their decisions and their policies and who they choose to run their country. Like, we all do that. So, like, people being surprised about that are just really in denial about how the world is run anyway. But I think also maybe this is kind of awakening people to, a lot of the corrupt things that have always been going on, because none of this shit's new. We just have, like, a guy that's really easy to not like and hate. Like, Trump is like the easiest person to dislike, and people didn't even like him before he was the president. I hated the dude on the show Apprentice.
Never
liked
really
him in any of his movie things.
And so many rappers, like, it's so contradictory. I love rap music, but it's so contradictory.
Rappers love Trump.
They love Trump,
It's
and now
interesting.
they hate Trump.
Yeah.
But I remember when I'm trying to make Bill Gates, Donald Trump, let me in now. Like, I remember Donald Trump was the punchline for success in rap music, and now he's the punchline for hate and greed and racism.
Yep.
And I'm not defending. I'm not like you and I.
We have no real stance on that. Like, we
have
just
no stance.
We kind of already see things for what it is.
Yeah.
And he's just another figurehead.
I don't subscribe to any political ideology or theory.
Nor do I.
Just whoever's a good person, whoever's going to make the right decisions.
And I don't really think the government does make the right decisions by us or will in its current state of how it's being run. I think we need to rethink things. I don't know what the answer is as far as all that goes, but all I know is the shit we're doing now isn't working. It's not beneficial to the people.
It feels like we're creating a problem with, like, what if they didn't like hack into our shit, and like we're purposely creating a problem with Russia, and we're forcing Trump to declare war, and Trump's just the asshole in the middle. Like, he literally is.
And he's a loose cannon. He'll say some shit.
And people are like, Trump's not doing this. And what if he can't? He's just the asshole in the middle.
Yeah.
And
he can talk all he wants. Him and his thing. He was talking back and forth with Kim Jong-un.
Yeah.
They're talking shit back and forth, and they're all buddies. It's like nothing he says really matters. His words don't really mean anything. If you don't believe that, then you're really in denial, because he's contradicted himself plenty of times. And they all lie. All the politicians lie.
All lie.
He's just really bad at lying. He's really bad at lying and not being a consistent liar. Because if you're gonna lie, you gotta at least
go consistent. To the grave with that
you
shit.
gotta fucking remember what you lied about, and you gotta just fucking run with that.
Yeah, you gotta go to
you
the
can't
grave.
backtrack and just I meant to say wouldn't instead of would. It was
2
a
days
double
later.
negative.
2 days
nah,
later.
fam.
Come on, bro.
Yeah, man. Like, you got
Contractions, bro.
Yeah.
Would not.
Yeah.
That's why when you don't write essays with wouldn't, you write would not.
Would not,
Or
yeah.
cannot. Or
See,
do not.
Not even academic.
That
at least
wasn't
Obama was like a likable dude and like can speak academically and at least lied consistently.
Yes.
Yeah. Because don't say
No
Obama
matter-
didn't lie. Of course he lied too. They all fucking lie.
Yeah, of course he fucking lied.
I liked Obama more, but he was just a likable guy.
But
But I also thought he was probably just as corrupt as any other politician.
I was capped. The thing about Obama and even Bush. their presidents have a gift of capturing people. It was very
Yes.
captivating, and Obama.
Even
was
Trump has that,
very
obviously.
good.
You know,
Well,
I know
some
plenty of people who do like him too.
Yeah, and they get caught up, and I don't buy it, but like every time I'm not into like, I'm not a whatever we already established that I'm not
We're
into
not political.
Democrats or Republicans, but like when Obama spoke, I was just like, man, in the perfect world, that is amazing.
Yeah.
But I know it's in
His
the
speeches
perfect
were
world.
nice. Like I could see his speeches being used for historical purposes down the line. You know, like
And-
we'll listen to like FDR, and
Yeah.
those dudes were all just as corrupt too. They're all pieces of shit as well. Like I don't trust any of those motherfuckers. JFK was probably one of the better ones, one of the best ones, but still corrupt as fuck.
And they took him out.
And they took him out. And see, that's what happens when you have one that's might actually be kind of good.
Apparently,
They're gonna fucking kill you.
As years go on, we start learning more and more of his intentions, and they start revealing a lot of things. And like he wanted to get rid of the Fed.
Yep, he was trying to dissolve all that shit.
There was a lot of shit that he was trying to do that people are talking about today.
Mm-hmm.
And
He was ahead of his time on that shit. He was probably the best president we ever had. Unless you're
seen-
talking like Lincoln, and Lincoln had slaves. Lincoln was a hypocritical person too, but
I feel like JFK. This is how I know. I don't know. It's just a theory that all of this is scripted. Since back when today or like the past 10 years was already in plan and in progress.
50
back
years
when
ago.
JFK was president, he's like, no, fuck that. The Fed's gonna fuck everybody over because like they're like, this is the plan. And it's good. He's like, no, this is bullshit. Like, we got to get rid of this. And he's actually trying to be a president. And they're like, no, you have to abide by the agenda because we have a business to run.
Yep. It's crazy, man. Crazy thinking about that. You know, you put two and two together, and then you get called a conspiracy theorist or something like that. And that's a really good thing our government has too. Is if you start questioning things, you're a conspiracy theorist, and that's a really good cop out. Like, as soon as you say that. All questions turn off. You're almost afraid to ask that question because people are going to look at you like, dude, you need a tinfoil hat. Like I remember when 9/11, when it was so controversial to think that shit was an inside job, which obviously it was. I mean, I don't know if we want to talk too much about that, but I am fully convinced there's no way those planes could have taken those towers down.
I remember when it happened, and the first time I heard that it was like an inside job, I didn't. Like
you don't want to
disagree.
believe it.
No, I didn't disagree. I was like,
I was in denial at first for a while until college.
Sounds fucking hella relevant. And this is like, cause growing up, I was in New York.
Right.
Like I would go to like barbershops, and this was conversation in barbershops like a year later.
Wow.
And then like they have like these documentaries that were out before Netflix and shit that were being sold at like bootleg DVD spots of people like saying this might be some bullshit inside job. And like I was like, man, it sounds plausible, like it could happen. It's not far-fetched.
It took a lot of convincing for me. At first, I just believed absolutely it was terrorists. Oh my God, I was afraid of terrorists. People of Middle Eastern descent, just like everyone. It worked on me. The fear machine worked on me.
Yeah.
But then in college, one of my friends, someone I respected, his intelligence. We took a lot of college classes together. He's like, no, dude, you need to look at this. And he's like, just look at the architecture of it, the physics of it. I even read a paper that they found thermite at ground zero in the rubble, and this is like a peer-reviewed published scientific article where they tested it, and it's definitely thermite, and that's what you used to melt steel beams. Like jet fuel, nothing like that can melt those steel beams. Those buildings are built to withstand natural disasters, and the way it fell was a demolition job. When I went there, and you'll attest to this, the streets, like all these buildings are so close together, the fact that when it fell, it didn't take anything out around it with it. It was free fall.
Yeah.
That was a really good demolition job. Like that was a really, really clean job that they did there.
Yeah.
And it was well executed.
Wow.
So I'm just like, there's no convincing me. I mean, there's people who have spoken out about it, architects. Like I saw this one video, this dude was shown the World Trade Center collapsing, and he was more closed off from the world. He didn't even know this actually happened. They showed it to him, and he's like, clearly that's a demolition job. And then they told him, the magnitude of what that was, and he's like, oh my God, that dude ended up dead in some mysterious accident. And this is some European dude. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like in Europe. So the people that really speak out on that, and it's still, even today, you're still looked at a little crazy if you're talking that it was an inside job.
But I think more and more
people are like,
you know what?
yeah.
Like it's almost like a general like agreement. in
Yeah, and people I
America.
talk to
A
across the
great
world too,
percentage.
like anyone you talk to across the
40% of
world,
Americans believe
and
it.
the rest of the world is like almost 90%.
And the rest of the world's
It's like
yeah.
way more like because they have that outside looking in view. And
Yeah.
I even when I was teaching kids, I was telling them like just think about what do the Middle Easterners have?
Yeah.
Oil,
Oil.
poppy fields. They didn't know the poppy fields, but if you think like oil and pharmaceutical companies really run the world, and wars are fought over that.
Yes.
Drug wars, oil wars, and the amount of force, the money behind that can change countries, completely. And if you can get one country to just hate another person, it's a lot easier to justify you sending forces over there to occupy their resources. And people I know from the military who are, the woke cats, you got the order following people that join the military. Then you got the woke people that join the military. The woke ones come out with PTSD. They come out ultra fucked, and they're in the VA. They're taking all these drugs and things because they lose their shit. They realize they're over there just
passionately.
They're
they
just
know
they're just
it's
protecting.
wrong.
They're protecting poppy fields. One of my friends, that's all he was doing, just protecting poppy fields.
Yeah.
They will pay people to just shoot guns. They will pay the locals there just to shoot guns to give this illusion that there's this really violent thing happening between us and them. And yeah, I'm not saying that everything's super peaceful.
Yeah.
There's some terrible shit happening over there. But the way we're intervening, I don't feel like is in a way to help. It's to help us and our pockets. And I don't even mean us. I mean the government that fucking we live, the country that we live in right now.
I know quite a few military guys, and they're, one of them is very close to me. Two of them are, and they're pretty successful. As in, like they retire. They're one's still in, and the other one's retired. The dynamic between the two stories, because one's retired and he was a part of the first, integration of the whole war, and the other is still involved, but the stories are a lot different, and I don't hear much drama from this person. He's kind of up there, so I can't say his name, and this could be published. Who
Sure,
knows,
yeah.
But I've never heard a story of, oh my God, this is what happened, this is what we do. I've heard a story of one time I was drunk and I just rolled down a hill. I was like, what? That's dangerous as fuck. You're in fucking Iraq and you roll down a hill.
But you're going to have fun. You have nothing to do out there.
At post in the middle of the night getting drunk. It's really, you know what I'm saying? And whereas the other one was there was nothing out there. And we literally set up camp in the desert. And it was dangerous and scary as fuck. And he says the reason why it was because people were like, why the fuck are you here? And that's all he gives me. Got nothing to do with, he never talks about the intent, or all people fighting back saying, why is your presence here? I'm intimidated.
Right.
You're intimidated.
Yeah, you're coming in, I got the guns, bitch. Look at all this shit.
Yeah,
coming with
what are
fucking
you
tanks,
doing?
setting up these fucking forts.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. We live near army bases. I'm always a little startled whenever I see trains carrying all these military craft, or you see the military choppers flying by. I'm used to it, but every time I see it, I'm still a little startled. It just, and especially when you're in the mountains. That's the craziest thing. Camp, I've done that. Walking out, driving way out in the middle of the fucking forest, in, like a little lake, and walking around the lake, and then just seeing some fucking military helicopters just fly by, really fully armed, missiles and shit, just flying through the mountains, and that's kind of scary to see, I guess.
Yeah.
No matter where you are.
It kind of creates a paranoia.
Yeah.
Colorado is a beautiful state.
It
but
is.
Colorado Springs is very interesting.
We have everything. It's so diverse.
It is.
I should say.
I think it's hard to explain, but I think Colorado Springs is probably a little more strict on the laws because of the military.
Because we have
presence
to
that
have this face that we're a military town. We have to have.
That
We're more strict.
oversees
That's why we can't sell
everything.
legal weed or recreational weed here.
Just within this
Just
fucking
within-
little city.
Yes.
Out of the whole Colorado, we're like a dot.
A little dot in the
speck,
middle that
and
doesn't
we
do it.
can't.
Because we got military. We're literally surrounded by military bases. We have
On each side of
we
the
have
city.
army. We have the army to our south, Army Base Fort Carson to our south. We have at Peterson and Schriever Air Force bases to our east.
Yep.
We have the United States Air Force Academy, the full academy for the Air Force in the country to our north, and then to our west we have NORAD, which is a fucking radio command.
You can't go near NORAD.
It's like a fucking city inside of a mountain. It's crazy. I've never been in there. I've always wanted to know about it, but it's like a bored out mountain. And people that I know who I've talked to have been in there like, oh man, it's like a city. There's shops in there.
Wow.
There's apartments in there. That shit has enough food in there to last for years. Like you can have a small population of people living in there for years, and it's protected against like nukes and shit. That's always been told when shit hits the fan. If we're going to nuclear war, that's like one of the bases. They would send the president and like the important people.
The important people. Wow.
Not us.
Colorado Springs. No, we're gonna get shitted on, fam. Yeah. So and people are like, this is the safest place. I guess environmentally and climate-wise and nature-wise, this is probably the safest place due to global warming, like because we're at the peak. But if it comes to war,
honestly, I think we're really safe. I think we're actually really safe because of how many bases we have. Like, just think of like the radio.
But we're a target.
We could be, but just think about the amount of defenses we have here as well.
You can't
like they can circumvent a lot of attacks.
You can shoot a bomb out of the sky, but what one misses, some house is gonna get blown up.
Sure.
The whole neighborhood.
Yeah. I don't know. I've always had, maybe it's the illusion of protection being surrounded by military bases, but, it feels kind of like I'm more protected. I'd like to maybe tell myself that.
Yeah.
But maybe it's not true.
I wonder if there's a study.
But we're also in the middle of the United States, like continental. That'd be hard to, shoot a missile all the way across the entire United States and get into the middle of it all the way here.
I wonder if there's a study or if someone's ever done any in-depth research. If someone paid me to do it, I'd do it.
Right.
Studying the social and economic infrastructures of towns with military presence in America. And it's specifically not like, okay, Colorado Springs, but what about the neighborhood right outside the base? And according to a few people I know that are in the military, usually the cities or the towns right outside the base are really fucked up places. There's some real bullshit that goes on, and those really drugs and stuff like that. And why is that? Why is a city that has a military base, why does it struggle so much? And I don't know. It's just interesting. I kind of wonder if someone's done that.
And I only have the experience from being here, and we haven't really had any big problems with drugs. I mean, Colorado in general kind of has a meth problem, I guess, but I don't really know of too many drug problems we have.
Yeah, but what is it? B Street?
B Street. Now you're right. Now
right?
that's true because B Street is like that little neighborhood. You're right because that is
right
the lowest of the low. If I think of the lowest socioeconomic status in the city, it is probably that one right outside Fort Carson base. That's a good point. And that's the sketchy ass place. And it literally, there's fences. There's barbed wire fences on the border of that neighborhood. Yeah. That if you were to cross over, you're in Fort Carson. And if you were to do that, you'd probably get shot and killed.
Yeah, exactly. And so studying that because I know in Georgia, there's a base, and apparently right outside the base, whichever, I don't know the
Fort Benning, maybe. I think Fort Benning is one. There's one in Savannah too. There's a couple in Georgia.
And Savannah or Augusta or whatever. I don't know. I'm not good at geography.
Me neither.
But that apparently right outside the base is really shitty and really bad, and hookers and why?
That's interesting. And some of the military, not even a lot of the military people will live there either. Some of them will, but usually it's they don't.
You might as well just live on base, because some of them don't like to live on base. Some of them like to have a little.
What would be the benefit of that? I wonder.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. What's the why?
Does seem to be kind of a correlation.
Does a military base bring down property value?
Ooh, you know what?
You know what I'm saying?
That makes the most sense.
You know what I'm saying?
That's probably it's not really malicious. It's just kind of how it is. You don't want to live right next to a military base. You're gonna hear guns firing. You're gonna hear them testing bombs and their drills are in the morning and stuff like that. So that makes sense.
Okay,
that makes sense.
Yeah, because I we live two or three exits away. 2 exits away from. Well, no, we're right outside of the base.
We are right outside. Sometimes when they're testing guns, I can hear gunshots outside.
The gunshots going off,
but it's in the distance.
I also hear the.
Right.
I hear the morning. Sometimes.
If you catch it at the right time, because it's early as shit.
Yeah, and the city has to not be awake. Basically, if cars are going by, you're not gonna hear it. But if it's just dead quiet, I'll hear the horn in the morning.
Right.
And so it's just man.
It's interesting, and a lot of people who live in other cities, like in Pueblo and in Denver, whenever I talk to them, like, oh, you live in the Springs? Man, that fucking sucks. The military people are assholes. And I'm like, yeah, there's certain bars you don't go to downtown because the military people will go there and they're going to heckle you. They're general. I mean, at least the meathead ones, will fuck with you.
Yeah. I've hung out with a few of the guys. Some of them I think are really dope, and then some of them I'm like, man, you are so arrogant. And,
some of them feel like you owe them.
Yeah.
They have that, if you think white people are entitled already. Like, just meet a military white person.
I've met some of the ones that think you owe them, but then I've met some that are like, I joined the military for the money, and that's fine. But they come from like very low class society, or they come from an environment where no one's really successful, so they have a little bit of money, so they like to flash and flaunt. And since it's Colorado and it's not fucking Philly or Atlanta, Georgia, the way you grew up, or like Compton, like wherever the fuck you're from in America, you kind of think, oh, this place is soft, so I can act tough.
Right. Yeah. That's one of the biggest things too. All those people that do act tough, they're not from Colorado, because Colorado doesn't have that vibe to it. It's the people coming from the outside with that, because they grew up in tougher parts of the nation. This is like it's a great place to grow up, man. I grew up in the neighborhood next to the one we're in right now. Actually, the neighborhood that you live in right now. And I was a little white skateboarder kid in a very diverse place. You got little gangsters here and there, but they don't really fuck with you. I mean, they did sometimes, but
I moved here in my early 20s. In my first week, I got into a bar fight. I never get into bar fights. I never get into fights in the streets. As a young kid, I would, whatever. What you looking at? All that bullshit.
Sure.
And I kind of had that attitude still in me, because I was getting adjusted, acclimated, and I got into a bar fight immediately, and that's when I realized, man, like, you can get your ass beat anywhere.
Right.
It was a huge bar fight, so you can't say someone won.
Right.
Everyone kind
It
of
was like just
beat
chaos.
Up. Yeah,
just chaos.
everyone got beat up, but like, it was bouncers of the bar, the bartenders.
I've never
the
even seen one of
dudes
those.
Involved.
I've never been in one of those or seen it.
When I moved out, like after it, I was just like, holy shit! Like, it don't matter where you from, like just because you know what I mean. Like,
you can get knocked out. You can catch some hands anywhere you go, man.
But
even in a rich ass neighborhood, some rich ass white dude you don't even know will fucking catch you and cold clock you.
I didn't start the altercation. I'm not the type of person to do that. But basically, the person that started it was kind of looking for it. And ever since then, I've never seen something like that. And that's what I realized in Colorado. Like, you don't start no shit, won't be no shit, man. You, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't like somebody, just ignore them.
Yeah.
Like, people aren't about that here. But if you want to go that route, we can.
Yeah.
And I dig it. I was like,
I feel like if you're just respectful to everybody, there's no way anyone's just gonna be like an asshole to you and try to kick your ass. If you're just a genuine fucking respectful person, and if you show, someone could tell if you're being respectful and how you look at them and how you nod at them. I'm just a generally respectful person, and people don't really pick fights with me. Like, I don't pick fights, and I've had altercations before, but nothing really amounted to much of anything, and that's kind of how I feel. Like, I'll go to a Jamaican place. Like yesterday or 2 days ago, I went to a Jamaican restaurant.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. Jamaican flavor on Hancock and Academy in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Okay.
Go there. It's in the ghetto of Colorado Springs, and you can't see what I'm doing. I'm doing air quotes right now because there are no ghettos. No. But it's in one of those areas. Some people are afraid to go down there, and you go there. It's like literally. It's family run. Like, you come there, there's like these little Jamaican kids like riding scooters out in front. You know their dad and their family run this, and you go in there. It's like all just the family. They're just shooting the shit, and it's really cool. It makes me want to go to Jamaica because they have like this really like free, carefree, like you're not really worried about, you're not really crunched for time. Yeah. They're just shooting the shit, talking shit to each other. I love the accents. I just wanted to kind of like hang out there and just absorb it because I'm so tired of like, going to a regular establishment and like we talked about Doug Stanhope, not even looking at your neighbor. Like everyone in there is like talking to each other. It's like a social thing, and the food was just phenomenal. It was like such good food, and I'm like, me and my friend are the only white people in there pretty much, but it's just respect, and like they're super cool to us. Being like, yeah man, what's up, yeah man, just have a good day.
Yeah, I grew up. Two of my best friends on the same block were Jamaican in Long Island, but like, being born in Brooklyn, like, it's such a huge Caribbean culture. So, like, I've always been, like, prone, I guess, or not prone, but, like, used to, like, that culture. When I moved out here, I was like, damn, there's no Jamaican food. The only ethnic culture here is, like, Mexican food.
Right.
And, like, through the years, I've seen more and more Jamaican spots pop
They've
up.
been, I guess Jamaican flavor's been there for, like, a long time.
Yeah.
It's so hard, it's so easy to miss, and there's one close to here. My roommate was telling me, Mike was telling me, there's a Jamaican spot real close to us, actually.
Oh, yeah, on Nevada.
And I've never eaten there.
By the Come and Go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the spot I go to, and I get a beef patty and cocoa bread.
Is it pretty good?
Yeah, that's where I go.
Okay.
And
see, I want to try that. We have to try both, but we have
chicken.
spots. It's just they're like hole-in-the-wall spots, but that's usually how you find the best food.
I've had jerk chicken in a few of the places in Colorado Springs, it doesn't taste like jerk chicken that I've had before at like my friend's family's house, or like at Juve, the West Indian parade, and the Caribbean parade in New York and shit like that, where Juve, like everybody's out in the like streets selling food and stuff, and like jerk chicken. I ate jerk chicken the whole weekend. $3 gave you a little to-go styrofoam cup, like box filled with jerk chicken, and we were just cheap. Drinking and eating the jerk chicken all weekend, and that chicken was on fire.
Oh man, yeah, this was probably some of the best chicken I ever had in my life, I would say.
Yeah.
Like the spices in there, like we don't fuck with spices like that here in the States.
No.
And they had the best spices, and plantains in there I've never had. Like that flavor complex,
and then
the sweetness,
plantains?
the sweetness, and these are like roasted plantains, and like with the jerk chicken and like the rice and the beans all together in one bite was just like flavor explosion in my mouth.
The dude at that Jamaican spot that I go to in Nevada, I asked him, I was like, what kind of plantains? Because there's there's two types. It's all the same banana, but you catch one when it's like just growing, and if it's really green, it's actually more like a side dish, like a French fry. And I was like, how green are your... Is that your doorbell?
Yeah, I think my doorbell's
We're
going
going to pause.
Thank you for listening to the Cablebox podcast. Stay with